Hello, legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony Live. We're going to be talking today about cycling preparation. Early in the season now, we're rolling. This is February, early February. Depending on where you are, if the roads are clear, you're probably going to be getting out more. If not, you'll do more indoor trainer stuff. That's what we're going to be chatting about, among other things. It is Friday. Happy Friday. We're getting ready for the weekend. We just got a message from the GroupMe board that Team RR is planning a different route. I'm not sure. It says 65 to 70 miles from Cross Pizza. So I think they're going to be going further out. Hopefully they won't stop early because, I don't like to stop too much. You guys already know that. My bike is already ready. Part of the preparation that you need to do is to make sure that your equipment is ready. So early this morning, I made sure the machine I'm going to use tomorrow was ready. I lubed the chain and everything. Switched out the wheels, put a different set of wheels that I want to use. I use a different set of wheels during the week to train, and I switch it out on Saturday most of the time. So the machine's ready. There's no guesswork there. You got to make sure you're ready. You don't want to go to your group rides with problems because a lot of groups will leave you and you'll have to call for a ride. Because think about it. Nobody gets up early to go to a group ride to wait for you to repair something that you could have gotten to on your own time. So flats notwithstanding, other mechanicals will leave you riding alone or calling for a ride. So make sure your machine is maintained, especially when you're going to join a group, because it's not fair to the group for you to show up with mechanical problems. They're there to ride, nothing else. So keep that in mind. That's every group, because some people may stick around, like if you have buddies that you're close to, but most of the group will roll, especially if it's something that's based on negligence. If it's a flat, people understand that. But anything else that you should have gotten to, you'll be on your own, because it's only fair when people get up, during the week, people can't get out that much. Saturday is time to ride. So if you show up with mechanicals, you're not going to ride. So just keep that in mind. Let's see here. So we're going to be leaving about 6:30 in the morning. We're going to be clipping in, my brother and I, and we'll pick up those guys and see what route Scott is putting together. But tomorrow is a big ride for us. Not sure how many hours we'll do, but we're ramping up. It's February now, so we're ramping up our intensity. Even when we ride solo, edging the ride towards, because in about 4 weeks, March will be here. And about mid-March, I believe, is spring break. So around spring break, things will start thawing out. Hopefully we'll get some more organized rides. It depends on how things are going with COVID-19. But I'm hoping that this year we get some organized rides that we can attend. So it will be something to see. So as far as the equipment that I talked about, your fitness, you need to make sure if you're doing the indoor training, be consistent. If you don't have a plan, get a plan. You don't have a coach, get a coach, depending on how ambitious you are. Because if you want to achieve anything in a timely and productive manner, it's recommended that you get some kind of a plan. If you want to gamble, you just ride. Yeah, maybe you'll get there, but it won't be under a more precise plan. So now's the time to start ramping up. You should have already been doing some base work over the main part of the winter. So now it's time to start increasing that endurance and hitting some of the top zones. Robert Tangler is here, one of our oldest members here. Hey, Robert, welcome. I see we got Dwayne here and we got Flash Thompson. Yeah, my brother should be joining us shortly when he gets around to it. We've been looking through our kit. That's another thing that you need to prepare for. That's the reason I decided to title this in that regard. Look at your cycling clothes. You got shorts that are long in the tooth. Maybe the seams are coming apart or whatever. You don't have to necessarily throw them away. If they're salvageable, take them to an alterations place. Let them revitalize them. If they're not salvageable, then it's time to start looking at replacing them before you're in a need. That way you get an opportunity to shop. Don't wait till last minute and then you're getting ready for a ride and you find a hole in your favorite shorts. So you need to inspect all that stuff. You got to look at your tires. Do you have backups? Because sometimes you can go out there and get a cut that is too big and you don't want to be stuck running to the LBS in a need and paying full retail. So there's so much that you need to prepare for. You got to stay on top of that. It is a science. So that's the main thing to focus on. So once you get everything together, your focus should be, it's February. What is my plan calling for if you have one? If you don't have one, then you need to think in terms of what kind of riding have I been doing? Because you don't want to overextend yourself, even if you go with a group. That's why it's good to have a plan, because you already know your duration, your effort, you have a gauge to know what you're doing in that regard. You got to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're just floundering. It's too hit or miss when you get out there. So you should already have your kit ready for tomorrow, because it's Saturday coming. You want to ride, all that stuff. You should kind of have a general idea of what you want to wear. You can change your mind last minute, but at least have things laid out. Shoes, make sure you check your cleats. Make sure they're not completely worn, because worn cleats can come loose unexpectedly, and worn cleats really affect your engagement in the pedal. When they wear down too much, you have more movement and you have more noise. So you need to make sure you don't try to get every penny out of the cleat. A lot of cleats have wear markers on them, almost like you would have on tires. So once they're worn, replace them, and that way you head off problems, because you don't want issues on your big rides. That's the way to prepare. So let's see here. So I see Robert out here, Robert Tengler. Robert mentioned last week the ride that we did. I really enjoyed that ride, even though I was there and I worked on the film. While I was doing stuff during the week, I actually was running the ride, because there were a lot of little things that I missed that I was picking up. It was really good to watch. It was very interesting. A lot of stuff I didn't narrate about that was there. But what I did plan on doing, which I executed fairly well, was I put the street names there, because Robert Tengler said on Strava that, I don't believe I've seen this route, so it would be nice to see that. So it was good to get the names. It helped me remember the route by going over the map and getting the names. Now I know that route, as if to say I've ridden it frequently, which I haven't. But that's how you remember the route. Most of you that have Garmin's, I don't know about Wahoo, but the Garmin store the route that you go on, where you can create courses if you want. But it's in your head unit, and once you connect the Garmin Connect, it loads it up there. So if you don't have Strava, you can look at the ride there. I use Golden Cheetah. It also downloads the route, so you can look at it on a map. And that helps, because if you want to build your own route from it, you can. But it really helps you remember all the turns that were made. So if you ride with a group, and let's say you're not familiar with the route and you have one of these head units, I know the Garmin's do that, maybe Wahoo and the other ones do. But if you ride with somebody that records it, you can go back and review the route and do it on your own, especially if there was one little hill that you liked or one little hill you suffered on. You can go back in terms of preparation and go and ride that route or ride that hill. That's why I like these head units that record the routes, so you don't have to worry about remembering. So that, just keep that in mind. Another thing I like about them is, if you happen to go somewhere and you're not sure, you get turned around, you can just tell it, take me to the start or back to start. It's got that on there. The Garmin's do, because it's navigation. Garmin's big on nav. So that's another thing that they have on there. Taha Kazmi from Sydney, Australia, the land down under. Well, you guys are probably still in summer out there. I know January is very hot in Australia. I don't know how February is, but I know it was like in the upper 30s. We had a visitor to one of our live sessions. It's your summer now at this time, so welcome. It's probably tomorrow over there. You guys are like way ahead, hours ahead. Yeah, it's a rainy summer, cooler than normally is. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, our summer here is it starts mid-June, July or something like that. It's kind of our summers. We get a few rain days, but they're mostly violent storms because of the hot and cold air. But a lot of the nicer rain, I think, comes in the winter here. They're steady, almost like you have in Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington. Just that lighter kind of rain. We have more thunder showers in June. So about mid-June, officially summer starts here, and it's more humid than I guess there are times when we get 40 Celsius, almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit in succession. And like Paul mentioned on one of our other sessions that we had, just like we were particular about dressing warm during the winter, in the summer we're even more particular about dressing very light, meaning all the flyweight stuff, the light, thin, breathable stuff. And they even have more breathable shorts and so forth. And that's when we wear like the Cool Max bandana as opposed to the cycling cap. The reason I've said that before, I like to have a cap or a bandana on because the moisture when you work out does not transfer to your helmet. So my helmet stay clean because I don't like to wash those pads all the time. So I always put something on. So in the summer, we wear I think some of them are made out of Cool Max material. They're very breathable. We wear that in the summer. And so we make sure that we dress very light. We even wear sunblock on certain days, and we have the lighter gloves. Everything's light. That's the way you have to dress. Even the socks. We wear summer socks. They're lighter socks. Simonson 77 from British Columbia. Welcome. Welcome. I hope you guys have clear roads to where you can get out there. We have clear roads. We had yesterday felt like a summer day here. You guys that watched the film, it was like 15 Celsius, something like that. It was mild. Then Sunday after that ride, it got cold. We got a cold front. I mean, just cold and windy. And then as the week went on, the midweek, it started warming up. Yesterday felt like some of our mild summer days, like 75 and like 28, almost 24 to 28 Celsius and humid. Now today, it rained most of the morning, and now it's chilly again. It's like 11 Celsius or something like that. Let me see what it actually is right now. But it's cold again. That's the reason we dress like we do. The weather changes, just every hour, it seems like. Yeah, so we're right at 11 Celsius, and it's overcast. It is dry, and then tomorrow is supposed to be dry. But when I'm looking at this, because by 8 a.m. it's going to be 8 Celsius at 8 a.m. And then during the ride, it's only going to warm up to about 14, 15 Celsius, which is not much. 10C is about 50, so 56. It's going to be like 56 most of the ride. By the time we're done, it will be 63 Fahrenheit. So that's like 17C or something like that. It's not going to be very hot. And depending on and the fact that the air is very dry right now in the front that brought the rain, it's going to be a cold 17C. So we got to break out the cold weather gear. So a day like that, I just wear tights, or you wear leg warmers. There's no point in wearing knee warmers from where we go, because then the lower part of your leg is exposed. I wear knee warmers on days where it's mild and it's not going to be very cold. I will wear knee warmers, but it's going to start out very cold. It won't get mild. So you might as well cover up. There's no fun being, cold on the bike. So it's going to be one of those days. But that's what I like about this time of year, well into spring. Similar kind of weather. It might start around 7C, and then by the time the day's over, it's like 18C. That's our usual range. Then we have days where we get to 20 and 24. And then once summer sets in around late May, when the weather gets warmer, officially summer's June, mid-June, but around mid-May, it starts getting warmer. And then we have to make sure we're going out early all the time. But this time of year, you can go out later. You can go out at lunchtime. It's very comfortable. Sometimes I'll wait till lunchtime if I can and go out around that time during the week, because then it's milder. It's like 18C sometimes. That's the kind of week we have. So you have to put a lot of thought into it. It does not require any extra time. It's just you have to give it some thought. If you're going to do, this is what we love to do. So you're going to do it, you might as well think about it, to get out there. So that's all part of the preparation. So you show up and you don't have too many surprises. It blows my mind when I go on rides like we rode with Team I did last Sunday. And when we showed up, some of the guys were wearing regular shorts. And even Mary was there. Those of you who have watched the film, Mary was at the start of this last film. Mary had on shorts, and she admitted that, man, it feels really cold. Well, what blows my mind is it's not like you float from your house. Whether you driving your car or not, unless you just get in the car in the garage and never go outside, which is a bad idea anyway, because you're going to be outside. You might as well walk outside and check the weather. But she showed up underdressed, and it was cold, and we're going into that north wind. You could see the people who were underdressed. A lot of them had to turn around. They couldn't even finish 25-mile ride because it was that brutal. So you can't play with the weather because it will ruin your experience, and then you can't go as far. We plan to be out there, so we spend a lot of time as part of the preparation. Shani, welcome back from Augusta, Georgia, Peachtree State, I believe, if I got that right. But what we do is, like, this evening, I'm going to prepare these little snack packages with some of the stuff we like to eat, because the gel is okay. I really like the gel when I'm going hard, but it's not enough for the kind of riding Paul and I do. You need some solid foods if you're going to be out there. It's almost like lunch. It's almost like lunch. So that's all part of the preparation, because it's not fun running out of energy on the bike. They call it the bonks. It's not fun. So you have to make sure if you're going to ride longer than 90 minutes, you need to have food and you need to have energy drinks and other things. I like to have things topped off to where I'm not running out of energy. So besides your machine, your training, the food, your kit, all of that, there's a lot involved in there, but it all come together, and it makes cycling very much more enjoyable when you invest the time in educating yourself. You guys are on this channel, that's what you're here for, and investing the time in making sure your preparation is ready. I mean, even your routine before you ride. I don't change my routine. I get up with a certain amount of time in the morning to have enough time to do the things I need to do to get ready to go ride. Because when you change that and you're rushing, it just throws everything off. Then you have a lot of anxiety. Imperceptible, cool name. From London, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, so this time of year, we check a lot because the weather is not consistent. In the summer, it's more predictable. It's gonna be hot. We just wear light stuff, because sometimes start out in the morning, it'll feel like 28C at 6:30 before it's even light. Imperceptible said, discovered your channel recently and I'm enjoying watching your content. Well, welcome. We've been here a while, but like any quality thing, I don't spend any kind of funds or resources in trying to leverage the channel like other channels do. I've tried to learn what's going on in the space. A lot of people will pay for views, or they'll have bots get views on the channel. They have companies that push those services. And since the channel has been very successful, I get a lot of emails about, oh, you could have more subs if you paid this person or did that, or whatever. And it just never made sense to me because it's kind of like saying to a university you could have more students if you paid this person to bring students in. The students that want education will sign up for the at the best schools. So that's the way I look at it. The quality's here, just like you don't have everybody in the university, you don't have everybody here. I'd much rather have high quality subs than a lot of subs that just create chaos, even in the comments. My pet peeve on this channel is that I don't mind comments. I've said that before, but I will remove comments that are misleading because a lot of people just like to throw things out there with no fact backing it. And this is an educational channel. I don't want people to be swayed by that or discouraged by that. So I really monitor the comments. People can put whatever they want, but it needs to make sense and you need to support what you're saying. You can't just say stuff, that may throw off a new writer and he believes that and go and try to apply it. That's the reason why I like doing the group ride, so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about instead of me just making videos. That's another thing. You see what I'm talking about. You see that we live it, so it's easy to believe. But that's the thing. That's quite a few people I've had to remove from the channel because they came in just trying to stir things up. And YouTube has features where you don't allow their comments to show and all that. And they're doing good keeping things clean. As far as the language and stuff, YouTube has stuff built in. So I just use one of the canned things where it looks for certain words and it will not display them. Because a lot of guys early on when the channel started, they said, hey, we like your channel because we watch it with our kids. And it was nice to hear that. And they said, hopefully you will keep it this way so that we don't have to worry about anything. So a lot of people watch the channel with their kids. And I think it's kind of neat. So we have a really good community here, so welcome. There's a lot of knowledge on here, so that's the whole purpose of this channel, to just share and make it easier than I had when I got into cycling. Because when I got into cycling, not everybody was sharing. And so you had to just kind of do trial and error. So here we go. Simonson said, the roads are not ideal. Snow on the way with 87 inches to date. 3 Celsius today, but 11 Sunday living on Ski Hill. Yeah, I don't know if you have a mountain bike, you could do that, or you can just do the trainer or do something else. Because depending on where you live, your season will start later. It can start later, that's okay. But you need to focus on what event you'd like to do. I mean, with everything going on, we may not have that. But just stay active, just stay consistent, so it'll be easy for you to get your body in top condition instead of starting from scratch. So yeah, don't go if the roads are not safe. Don't go out and ride. There's no point in riding on icy roads or whatever, unless you're going to put on special tires. I've done that on mountain bikes because you're not going that fast and you're on trail. That's fine. That's another option. And if it's very cold, it's more fun to do a mountain bike ride because you're just working on strength and power. You're the dirt or whatever. It's a little different discipline, but you still build your cycling muscles. I err on the side of doing most of my workout on a bike versus weights because I bulk up. I don't want to build muscles that you don't need for cycling. Dave Hefferman, how are you liking your power meter? Are they worth it? The power meter I only use on Saturdays, so it's fine. Somebody suggested it'd be nice to see your numbers per se. I don't train with it. I've trained with power before. I had a Cyclops wheel, but it just always was glitchy. This AeroPod is so much better. It's finicky to set up, but once you set it up, in fact, somebody just corrected my pronunciation of I got a little wind measuring instrument that they sell for the AeroPod because the not AeroPod, the PowerPod. They have one called the AeroPod that has a pitot tube. There's a guy named Henri Pitot, P-I-T-O-T. I pronounce it pitot. And somebody here corrected me on the channel. And I went to Wikipedia and looked it up. That's how I got the name. Except the pronunciation is there. It's pronounced like pitot. So a pitot tube is a wind measuring instrument. And they make one for that AeroPod. They already had it on, the PowerPod, they had it on their AeroPod. So I ordered it was like $8. It probably costs more to ship than to get the thing, than to get the tube. So it's built, the AirPod is built with threads in the front of the hole that the wind goes through. And so you just screw that in there. And I ended up recalibrating it on the new bike. And so on Thursday I rode and it seemed more accurate. And one thing I have to say about Veloharmony, I've called their support. It's somewhere in New Jersey. Every time I've called, the guy answers the phone, whoever the guy is. And so I hope they keep it up because you get a person. There's no menu to go through, these automated systems before you can get up. He just answers the phone like you call your buddy. And he doesn't even ask me who I am. I just tell him what my problem is, and he gives you the answer. And all I called him was to ask him, do I need to recalibrate after getting the pitot tube? He said that might be a good idea because the wind scaling might be off. By wind scaling, what he means is in the software, the Isaac software, once you do a configuration, it builds almost like a profile for that bike using wind scaling and slope and all kinds of stuff. So it's very complicated. That's what makes it accurate. So he said, yeah, I kind of was leaning towards calibrating anyway, but I wanted to make sure. And so I did another calibration ride. And it's more accurate. Now you can pick up crosswinds better because at first that hole is just direct. So now with the pitot 2 crosswinds, so now the numbers are even cleaner. And there's something in the application that says best accuracy. So I set it at best accuracy before I did the calibration. So I'm doing it on the Lighthouse, the blue bike. Once that's done, then I will do it on the other bikes. And then you're good to go. It just works. The reason I got the tube was somebody on the channel, one of our legends said, because I was on a rainy ride with Paul, and the thing was just intermittently losing the display. The power would just go off, then come back on during the ride. And this guy, I narrated about it, and he said, oh, yeah, if you get that tube, then water won't be getting in there. That's what was happening. We're getting some water in that thing. And the tube is small, like a straw, but it's made out of hard plastic. And so the chances of water getting in that one are slim to none. But it's not just for that purpose. Because it sticks out, now it can measure the crosswinds. And so I did everything, and hopefully, it worked fine on Thursday. But I don't train with it. I just go and ride. I use heart rate or feel for the most part. But yes, as far as it being worth it, I think it's cheap compared to other power meters. So I don't care whether it's worth it or not. It's a good price. The bikes are more expensive than that thing. I got outfits that cost more. So everything's worth it if you enjoy using it. I think, we're worth it. We work hard. We need to pamper ourselves. So yes. I like it. It's good. I just leave it on the bike I'm going to use on Saturday. I don't move it around that much unless I'm going to change bikes. Taha Kazmi, I have a new Victoria Corsa road tire. Yeah, in fact, that's what I'm riding tomorrow. They call it the G2.0. Maybe that's not what you have. Which I punctured and got about a 1 centimeter long cut. That's a pretty long cut. Can I apply a tube patch to repair it from the inside, or should I look for something else? I think you need to buy a new tire. That hole's too big. A centimeter is too big. Because if you patched it, what would happen to the tube? It would put too much pressure on the tube. So your tubes wouldn't last. It's the same thing when you put a boot in a tire. It's good enough to get you through that ride and get you home. You don't leave it there for several days because all of a sudden your tube will just go psst. Because what it does, it puts more pressure on that area in the tube, and the rubber just thins out and you lose air. Time for a new tire. It happens. Not much you can do about it. It can be brand new and you hit something. That's why you have to read the road when you ride. We talk about it all the time. You got to watch where you're riding. Don't ride in a lot of crap unless you stand up. Because to get that kind of cut, you had weight on that tire and something sharp. Yeah, a centimeter is too long. And everything they talk about, it will tell you what the limits are. They'll do up to maybe 1/8 of an inch. I mean, small cuts, but not, that's just too much of a space. A centimeter, it's huge. You're talking about that much space. That's too significant. Shani D. Yes, just as with people don't have enough energy for winter, I've seen the same with hydration in the summer. It's good to try different things to figure out what works. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's kind of like it's almost like I'm catching you in the middle of the conversation. I don't know if there's a difference. In the summer, I drink more water versus the heavy electrolytes. In the winter, I do more electrolytes because if I drink a lot of water in the winter, then we stop every 45 minutes or so to pee. So in the summer, we don't have to stop that frequently because you're perspiring more. And if it's very hot, you need more water. And the water actually tastes better than a thick, you know, electrolyte drink. In the winter, I carry mostly sometimes one bottle. Tomorrow I might carry two because we're going further and further now. But I usually just carry one because I don't drink that much. I drink before I leave all year round. As I'm leaving, I drink. It's almost like you're filling up the tank. So as I walk out the door, I drink, and then I throw something in the tank, energy-wise. So for a couple of hours in the winter, I don't need to drink. In the summer, within an hour, I got to drink. And the reason you're drinking is it's not good for your working muscles to not have hydration in there. You need that to move the lactate. You know, your blood volume needs to stay up as you start to ride harder. The reason your heart rate goes up is because it's pumping more blood. So you need to keep your blood volume up. You know, in the summer, you don't want to go without. It's not good for the organism, your body. Yeah, so you got to play around with it. You got the right idea. Imperceptible, I'm sort of a newbie, started riding 5 months ago. I've been able to get cycling gear thanks to your content. Castelli size up. Yeah, even with sizing up for Castelli, I don't get a lot of their stuff because it's still too small. It doesn't have that full cut. I've talked about it before. Let's say you go to a store to buy jeans. Castelli's almost like a little bigger than skinny jeans per se, as opposed to full cut jeans. You know, I like Rafa, I like Asos and some of the other ones because the thighs are not too compressive on you. The Castelli just seems too small. They need to have a variety where they have the regular stuff and then they have like the full cut. But they're designing their clothes for pencil thin cyclists. Well, not everybody's built like that. You know. And then what they do is they sponsor these guys and they make custom stuff for those guys because Peter Sagan is not thin, like a thin, you know, pencil thin cyclist. I'm using him as an example. So there are professionals out there that need the full cut. And I think, you know, they need to keep that in mind. I'm sure they do, but they make it look like that, you know, all the stuff that they give those guys are off the rack. No, it's not. They measure those guys. But some of those guys are picky. The taller riders, they want their shorts to be longer. You guys know you buy shorts and they look like, you know, you borrowed somebody's shorts halfway up your thigh. So yeah. So I'm very picky which brands I go with. Shani says my Rafa reviews have been helpful in deciding what to buy. I love Rafa, good quality and fit. Yeah, I love Rafa too. I think they make really good stuff, and it just works. You know, it's comfortable. You forget you're wearing them. If you're fiddling with your clothes on a bike, something's wrong. Yeah, they make good stuff. Really, I'm glad that they're out there. But when I was cycling competitively, they were not around. And Rafa was started by a guy who was disenchanted with all the gaudy-looking cycling jerseys with all the advertisements all over them that we used to have available. And so he decided to go classic. That's why their stuff is not crazy. Imperceptible says, I enjoy your honesty during reviews, and that has helped me to develop my cycling wardrobe. I just tell it like it is. You know, it's just easy to do. There are a few reviews I've done where people send the products to the channel, and what I tell them when they contact me is, you can send the product. If it's crappy, I'm not introducing it to the channel. I will let you know what's wrong, and you can fix it if you want and send it back. But you know, they have no influence in my reviews. It's just easier. It's easier to tell the truth. I don't write anything down in any of my videos, guys and girls. I just turn the camera on and go. So when you're telling the truth, you don't need a script. You know, it's just my perception. It may not be something that everybody agrees to, but that's what I'm getting from it. So I don't have to think about it. I look at the garment and this is what I think, and I put it on as I feel. It just makes it easy, you know. Let's see here. Jeffrey is here. Welcome, Super Legend. Taha Kazmi. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on deep section wheels? Never seen you or Paul ride them. We have them. I have what you call the Zip 303 on the orange bike. And well, yeah, that's, I guess 303 is not super deep, but it is. But I think you're thinking in terms of, do we like them, don't like them, whatever. The deeper section wheels, like let's say, I wouldn't say 404, let's say 808 or whatever. I'm using Zip as an example to give people an idea, but you know, they have other brands out there. The deeper they are, they're great for time trialing. Okay. You still need to be cautious in crosswinds because they'll blow you around more. But for everyday riding, all around riding, I think once you start going more than like the 404s, you start having challenges. You know, they just don't roll, they don't snap as quickly. That's why Zip has a 202, I believe. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. Those of you out there, aficionados. They got a 202. I think there's a guy in the group of Team RR, Dan the Man. He rides a 202. Those are the kind of wheels I like. Tomorrow, in fact, I will be riding, I wouldn't call it deep. I'll be riding I have a Shimano C35. That's what I put on the bike. The C35 is, you know, and that's 35 millimeter. Yeah, so that's a good one for all around, you know, sprinting, climbing, whatever. When they get very deep, they get a little clunky because they're really designed for getting up to speed and rolling and maintaining that speed, mostly on a flat course. Doesn't have to be just flat, but they're not great for climbing. That's another reason that even the professionals, when they have courses where they have a long climb in a time trial, you've probably seen them switch bikes, and you probably wonder why. They switch bikes, get their road bike to ride the hilly section, and then maybe switch back, or if the hilly section and the finish was closed, they just switch and finish on that second bike. That's the reason. They're great, but every wheel has a purpose. You got to do your research. You're going to spend that kind of funds. They're expensive, and I'm saying what I don't like to hear. It's relative. I'm going to take that back. They're costly, so you have to decide whether you want to invest in them based on your budget. Because I ride mostly aluminum regular wheels, Campagnolo Zondas. I ride that very frequently. That's my main training wheel, and I ride it. That's what I was riding last week with the Team RR guys. Campagnolo Zondas. I have the 4000S on there. You know, the Continental 4000S on there. The regular alloy wheels, I wouldn't call them box. They got a slight arrow, but nothing significant. You could probably put a 40 centimeter thing on there. I get all my tubes in one size, 80 centimeter, no less than 60. It's just easier to deal with them. So if I'm using them on the deep section wheel, I don't have to put an adapter. I just get the long thing that, you get them, you shop ahead of time. But yeah, I like the Zondas because they're great. They're very responsive, and value-wise, bang for the buck, very good wheels. You can compete in them if you wanted to, and that's what. And then they're low maintenance. I don't want to train on my carbon wheel. If you notice, I haven't brought the orange bike out. That's the thing with the carbon. When you get the carbon wheels, you got to get brake pads for the carbon wheels. So then you can't put aluminum wheels on there unless you change the brake pads out. Who wants to be dealing with all of that? So I put those wheels on the orange bike, and they just stay there. And then when I'm in the mood, I'll roll them out. The other reason I'm not riding the orange bike is because the orange bike is my lightest, fastest machine versus the blue, or they call Nago. They're heavy. So I kind of want to train with the heavier bike so that I'm not riding away. The Team RR guys, you guys have been watching the film, they have a different way they ride. They'll speed up, slow down, whatever. I'd much rather ride heavier equipment with those guys and then save my lighter equipment for race days or whatever, or with WCC, if you know what I mean. So let's see here. Ben Robinson, good morning from Singapore. Man, you're on the other side of the world. Michael Fernandez, welcome. I remember you. Yeah, been a long time I haven't seen you around here. So yeah, but don't put too much emphasis on equipment. Focus on the engine. Invest your money in getting a good plan so you can train and work out, get fit, and then make sure you get a bike fit. And I don't know what kind of bike you have. Get a good solid frame that you can always upgrade wheels on or whatever. But start with a good solid frame, get it fitted to you, get a frame, get a bike sizing done, depending on where you are. If you already have that, that's fine. But it's more important to have a bike that fits you, clothing that fit you well, than expensive wheels, because your body is the biggest drag. So if you got loose fitting clothing and the bike's not comfortable, no aero wheel is going to help you, because you won't be able to be in position to even get that bike going fast. So start with fit, kit. I made a video about that. Fit, kit, and make sure that you train the engine. Invest in a plan and get yourself fast, because the bike is fast because the rider makes it. Hello from good old UK. Welcome, Gallo Chapin. Chapin. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Welcome from the good old UK. Yeah. But people talk about these wheels because they're very flashy and glitzy or whatever. Remember that what you see on TV, these guys are not buying those wheels. The guys that are on these teams, they have sponsors and this and that. A lot of those riders will use the time trial bike just for that event and then go back to their road bike. They prefer to be on their road bike because it fits them better, and they spend the most time riding in that position, because your body is very finicky when you change things. And some of those time trial bikes, it's hard to set them up to replicate your road position. So they compromise, based on the UCI limitations. They'll use those shorter saddles, and I think it's supposed to be like 5 centimeter minimum behind the bottom bracket, something like that. So they're dealing with a lot of stuff. So you see them riding that time trial bike. Some of them will be scooting back because they don't like where they're sitting on the saddle. So they prefer their road bikes. You're welcome, Gallo Chapin. Yeah, he said I pronounced it correctly. I remember that somebody, I don't know if he was a comedian, Chapin. I remember that name. I think it was a comedian or something, somebody famous, a long time back in the day. Willem Ritsima, 25 or 28 millimeter, greetings from Holland. I made a video about that, Willem. You're going to have to decide which one fits your frame. If you're a big guy, I ride 25s. I don't use the 28 that much because the clearance is so tight. You don't want very little clearance, because if you get stuff stuck in there, your wheel can seize up. So you've got to make sure that you pick something that will fit the clearances you have. My issue with like the blue bike, the brake caliper will not allow a 28 to go under there smoothly under my super record. It rubs. And so I use the 25. So yeah, either one is fine. Some people prefer 23. I ride 25s. I'm 86 kilos. So if you're like 80 plus kilos, yeah, put some 25s on it. You'll love it. They're pretty common now, based on clearance, either one will go. If you have the clearance, definitely put the 28 at least on the rear and put the 25 on the front. Michael Mandarano, hello from Florida. Thanks for putting these videos together. You're welcome. Simonson, no Paul today. I don't know if Paul joined. He's probably busy with something. We've got a ride in the morning. Hopefully getting ready for that. He knew about this. He probably just can't make it. He usually logs in, Michael Mandarino wants to know, have I ever used the Tubolito inner tube? No, I haven't. They just seem too pricey for an inner tube. For that kind of money, I can buy a tire. I've looked them up, but I've never used them. What I have works for me fine. I think they're supposed to be real puncture resistant or something like that. You know, that's why they price them like they do. They price them about the price of a tire. I'd much rather get a nice pair of tires. Let's see here. Taha Kazmi says he agrees with what I said about the deep wheels. He tried the Zip 404. He said it felt like they always wanted to go straight, not very agile or quick to turn. I switched to the new 303s. Yeah, that's what I have. I don't know if it's 303 or 302. I got them on eBay a while back. I always look on eBay. It's the since they're tubular, I have tubular tires, so that's another thing. They behave differently. The rims are lighter. It's easy to find good deals on tubular rims on eBay because a lot of people use clinchers. And I really prefer the sizing of like the 202s for the kind of riding I like to do, you know, sprinting and, you know, accelerating a lot. The 202s, that's why I like the Zondas and even the C35. Those are I don't like deep ditch stuff, the 808 and all that kind of stuff. And then you definitely will need an extender, but they're really for fast, straight events for the most part. So everything has its discipline. You got to do your research. Taha says, Taha Kazmi, I'm a fan of the tubeless technology. Ooh. As a mechanic, I work on bikes. They're a pain in the butt to get out of there. To get them off the rims, they're a pain. The bead, and then you got to put sealant in there. I've seen there's a guy named Rob who rides on Sundays with Team IR, and he had a flat on one ride. It was a Saturday ride. Paul was there. He was running tubeless tires with tubes in them, and what I suspect is that he started out with tubeless, maybe had issues, and then threw a tube in there. Well, he had a flat on that ride, and it took him forever to get that thing off. He had these flimsy levers. They're a real pain. I don't see what, I like what I have. So if you're going to come up with something, it needs to be, first of all, easy to use. Then it needs to be better than what we have now. So if I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I don't have a tire machine or whatever you need, whatever they say you need, compressors and all that to set it up. You have a problem with those things, they're a pain to get off the rim. And so it took him forever. We're waiting for him to get that thing off. He had to use like 3 levers. I had to get my tire lever. I have Park 2 tire lever that has a metal inner with the rubber around it. The shop quality tools. That's what enabled him to get it off the rim. He had those flat, cheap levers that you get with some of the Continental tubes. And I don't know why he carried that knowing he had tubeless tire on the rim. So no, I've removed tubeless tires. And I charge people more for it. So if you like it, that's great, But I won't be putting anything on I'm going to be putting those on my bike. I want something that can get. I buy Victorias and some of those other tires, so they just come off. You take one lever, you lift it, you're ready to go. Yeah, out on the road, I don't need a hassle. But if you like tubeless and they're working fine, that's great. I run my tires 90, 95, and they're very supple, especially the high quality, high TPI tires. So Gallup Chipping says, I'm riding a Specialized Roubaix, the brand of tire, and got some new 25 GP 4000S. You'll like them. You'll like the Jeep. I have those with regular butyl tubes, and they're very supple. Just don't put too much pressure in there. You don't need to go above 100 PSI. And you will really enjoy the suppleness of the tire. If you pump it up too hard, then it's just, you give up a lot, and it bounces around more. That slows you down. Carlos Schopbauer. He says, bonjour from Montreal. Bonjour. Je parle français un peu. Montreal, Canada. In Imperceptible says the weather in the UK is horrible. If we are lucky, we'll get a week of sunshine in the summer and a very long winter. How is the Castelli Pioggia overshoes faring on? Need to replace the current one. They're all right. I haven't used them too much. They're okay. All the overshoes have a weakness where they get on your ankle. Okay, the water hits your leg and drips in there. So we use what is called a weather cuff from Velotoes, and that basically eliminated that problem. So we stay dry. So without that, you would get wet because Velotoes makes this little weather cuff that is made out of a rubber, like almost similar to their Velotoes covers. I don't like the Velotoes covers because it doesn't breathe, but I like that little cuff. And it's like $8 or something like that. And you slide it up, and it gets on your skin, and it's made out of rubber that just stays flush against the skin, so the water hits it and goes over it, as opposed to going in there. That's a weak spot on all of them. And then make sure that you've got mud guards, because if you don't, you have more water spraying on your foot, and then it will get under the vents in your shoe. But then if that's the case, you want to cover those vents on your rainy rides with some tape or something, the vents under your shoes. Other than that, yeah, so we stay dry. Let's see here. Nah. Yeah, Imperceptor, I'm sure that stopped the blood flow. No, it's not tight enough to stop the blood flow, and it's not tiny. It's like a wide band. It's this wide that goes around. So it spreads. It's almost, it's this wide. And it's a circle. They send two sizes, small and medium, depending on what kind of shoe covers you're wearing. Because if the shoe cover is taller, it gets closer to your calf, then you need the large one. If it's shorter and it's further down your leg, you need the small one. But it's a wide band about the size of my palm that wraps around you. It does not stop the blood flow. In fact, I was wearing it on the ride on Saturday. I had it on. So if you go there and stop any of the frames and look at my shoe cover and look at the top, you will see what I'm talking about. And it just works. It does not put any markings on your skin or anything. So I don't know how they did it, but it's tapered to where one side is tighter, the one at the top. So it goes almost like a V kind of. So they really knew what they were doing. It's easy to put on. You just roll it up, slip it over your foot, put it up, and because it gets on your skin and over the shoe covers, so no water's going in there. It's a great idea. John Lepersa loved Vittoria tires. Yeah, Vittoria has Vittoria tire. I've always loved them, but they've had their issues. The Corsa, say, year or two ago, was very susceptible to puncture. For me, it wasn't a problem because I read the road. You guys see how I ride. I always look for the cleanest spot on the road. But for the average cyclist who is, let's say, not at like Mark, Mark, I wouldn't want Mark to ride Vittorias because he hits everything. So they had more frequent punctures. The new G, I think they call it Graphene 2.0 or something. They're no longer making the Corsa. They have a replacement tire called Graphene. It's sturdier, but you didn't lose the qualities. So I guess they had enough issues and people complained enough. So they made it more robust without losing the qualities of Vittoria. So yes, I love riding them. That's what I'm going to be riding tomorrow. They're on my C35, the wheels. That's what they're on. So I have certain wheels with the higher quality tires, and then I have my low TPI tires on certain wheels that I train on because it just makes sense. Then you don't have to buy tires all the time. You train on your low quality tires and you switch them out, when it's time to go, So yeah. Also, you should have run more than, but less if wet. Yeah, I don't, I might change it 5 PSI. callow chipping. If it's wet, I might go, you know, 90, 80, 85, 90 or something like that. But for the most part, you know, down here, we don't have standing water too much. So, yeah. So John says, do high TPI tires have good puncture resistance? Yeah, they have the best because that's why they're tough. It's harder. It's a harder compound, John. So you don't get the suppleness. They're not they're not as sticky as the high quality tires. So the rubber is harder. And so yes, they definitely have a higher wear. So they last a lot longer. The high quality tires wear quicker, but man, they're a joy to ride. So you want to save those for your events so you can enjoy that quality. But then for just all the everyday riding, it's almost like you have your Sunday suit and then you have your work stuff. So the low TPI tires. Oh, I'm sorry. Your question said, do high TPI tires have good puncture resistance? Yes, they do, depending on which ones you get. They have a Kevlar bead in them. They're not as puncture resistant as the low TPI tires because their compound is not as hard. And that's the reason why people use those tires for the events, because a lot of times the events you have closed courses or even the group rides, you guys are using more of the road as opposed to when you train alone and you're dealing with crappier roads. So if you're going to ride in crappier areas, then use your low TPI tires. That's why we have low TPI tires on certain wheels. So yeah, high TPI tires have very good puncture resistance, but I think it only equates to how you ride. You still have to read the road, but they're not as tough as the low TPI tires. So yeah, low TPI tires will get a puncture too if you run into something, you know, but they resist more. Black Southern Vegan, Marcus Chestnut. Evening, everyone. Evening. John Lippert, love Victoria tires. Yeah, I've read that. So let's see here. Imperceptible asking what it's called. I think he's talking about that. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I can put a link on the website. I think it's a weather cuff. Let me find a link for it. Let's see. Please. They call them weather cuffs. Let me just type what they call it. Weather cuffs. So if you just typed in your browser, Velotoes weather cuffs, I will look for a link and maybe see if I can get a discount code from them. But I'll look for a link and put it on my website for the channel. Yeah, they work. I mean, you know, they ship them with two sizes, so it should work. I don't get dry. I mean, I don't get wet feet anymore. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. I like riding rain or shine. I love riding in the rain because the roads are empty anyway, because drivers don't even want to be out. Michael Mandarino, how about VeloFlex tires? Yeah, I talked about that last week, Michael. They are made in Italy. Yeah, they're high quality tires. I have a pair of the tubular versions. They're pretty good. Angelo, how many miles you think a Shimano crank will last? No one can tell you that. That is not possible for someone to tell you that. Yeah. No one can tell you how long a crank will last. It depends on how you care for it. Just like a chain, depending on the care, it will last longer than the person who rides it filthy or a lot of dirt on it and grinds out. So it's kind of yeah. I'll find a link for those weather cups and put them on my the recommended cycling products on the channel. I mean on the website for those of you who might want them. But I think they're really good. If you're going to ride in the rain, you might as well invest in the equipment because it's not that much. Get some mud guards and put it on it. We don't ride with the group when it rains. When it rains, Paul and I ride solo because I don't want spray on me. 2 weeks ago, we happened to be riding. It was drizzling because the forecast said it would just be cloudy. We didn't even have our mud guards on, and that happens. The weather changed versus the forecast. But if we know it's raining, it does not deter us. We just ride, just the two of us, because both of us have a set of mud guards. And for the life of me, I don't understand why it's not more common here. Most of the bikes when I was growing up had mud guards on. Yeah, so Joni Link. Joni says, "What's a good brand of carbon wheel, or should I just lose weight?" I don't know what you weigh. I mean, if your body, if you fit your clothes well and you like the way you feel, then I don't think you need to lose weight. I'm not sure what you think carbon wheels will give you. They may be lighter, but you still got to be fit to get them up to speed. The equipment does not ride the bike, you do. So you need to make sure that you do enough training to get yourself fast. So he's 6'3", 230. 6'3", so you're an inch taller than me. 230. Depending on your body type, I don't know. If you built like I am and you're not big boned or whatever, because big bone, that's a decent weight. That's not bad. But if you feel that, I mean, you know what your ideal weight is. I think just riding, your body will settle. If you ride consistently, your body will settle where it needs to be. I wouldn't focus on equipment at this point. I mean, I don't know how long you've been cycling, but really you need to get a program, get some strong wheels on your bike that won't give you a headache, and so you can ride consistently. Wait till you get fast, then get carbon wheels. I don't know if you get the connection. You have to be fast for the carbon wheels to make a difference. I made the comment when we're riding and we see guys on very expensive bikes that cost 5 times our bikes, and they're doing 15 miles per hour. Like, what is that, 26K, something like that. So you've been riding for 2 years. Yeah. So I don't know enough about you to really give you advice, because right now it's like stabbing in the dark. That's why we offer consultation or your like coaching on the website veloharmony.com. Yeah, you don't need to buy anything right now. You need to find out what you need to do to make your engine fast, whether you need a good plan or whatever. Check out the website veloharmony.com. We got a lot of things in the fitness section. I didn't call it coaching, I call it fitness, because I didn't want people to think it's just about racing. It's an overall thing to where if you fast, you fast. You can go to a Grand Fond or a race, you'll be fine. And depending on what you're training for, we have programs and drills that will get you ready for that event. So yeah, Giant Defies a decent bike. So you get a good bike to start with, and then get a training plan, and then get a bike fit so you can ride comfortably, because that would make you ride more. Joni, that would make you ride more. And because if you're not riding enough, because what happens when you go and ride and you're uncomfortable, you don't look forward to the next ride. So you skip. Or if you get a saddle sore, you skip. But when you're comfortable, every ride is a joy. I put more emphasis on that, to get a fit and then go from there. If you don't know a good fitter, yeah, be careful, because they're not all created equal. We can probably recommend somebody depending on where you live. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. John Hill, Joni, Dwayne, Jeffrey, all of you guys, and what's the lady from the Peachtree State? Let me see if I can find her name here. I think it's Shani. Yeah, Shani. Taha, good to see you out here. We'll do more of these, but get ready, get out there, stay active, but focus more on you, not on equipment. Make sure you fit your bike. Then later on, you can get stuff. Okay? You guys stay safe. See you out on the roads.